Welcome to the deep dive. I mean, I am just so glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We have a really good one today.
We really do. So I want to start by asking you, the listener, a question. Have you ever had that strange, almost unsettling experience where you're driving to work or maybe taking your usual commuter train?
Oh, I know exactly where this is going.
Right. And you suddenly arrive at your destination, but you have absolutely zero memory of the actual journey. Like you pull into the parking lot, you turn off the engine, and you suddenly realize you cannot recall a single traffic light.
Not a single one.
Not a single song on the radio or a single car you passed along the way. It's just blank.
It is a completely surreal feeling when that happens because, well, you were physically there, obviously. I mean, your hands were on the wheel. You successfully navigated through a highly complex physical environment.
I didn't crash.
Right, you didn't crash, but your mind was entirely somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's this total temporary disconnect between the body and the conscious brain.
Exactly. It honestly feels like you just teleported from your driveway to your office. But today, we're taking a deep dive into some truly fascinating source materials. We're looking at a collection of research notes, psychology articles, and practical guides focused on mindfulness, daily habits, and how to intentionally shape our lives.
Yeah, and our mission for you today is twofold, really.
Right. First, we want to help you grab that steering wheel of your life back from those subconscious automatic habits.
Which is huge.
It is. And second, because we know many of you listening are actively working on your English, we're going to unpack some excellent everyday English vocabulary used in these sources so we can help you clearly describe this exact psychological journey.
That's right. And to support that, we're going deliberately with a clear, steady pace today. We want you to not just understand the deep psychology behind your daily habits, but, to feel truly confident using the English language to articulate your own experiences.
Yeah, it's about grasping the underlying concepts and the specific words simultaneously. Okay, let's unpack this. Our sources describe a very common, very modern problem. They call it the autopilot trap.
The autopilot trap.
Right. Let's paint a picture of a typical morning to really understand what they mean by this. Because, we've all been there. Imagine your alarm goes off. It's 6:30 a.m.
Too early.
Way too early. And before your eyes are even fully open, before you've even had a single conscious thought about what day it is, your hand automatically reaches out into the dark.
It's like it has a mind of its own.
It does. It knows exactly where the nightstand is. Your fingers find your phone, and suddenly that cold blue light hits your face.
Yeah, we all know that feeling.
And without making a single conscious decision, your thumb has already swiped to open a social media app. You swipe, you scroll, you watch a video, you swipe again, and suddenly 30 minutes just vanish into thin air.
And the key detail in that scenario, from our sources, is the sheer physical automation of the act. Like, your hand knew exactly where the phone was.
Right.
Your thumb knew exactly where the app icon lived on the screen. You didn't have to engage your prefrontal cortex at all.
Wait, the prefrontal cortex?
Yeah, that's the decision-making part of your brain. It was completely offline.
Wow, right. And then you get up, you shuffle to the bathroom, you brush your teeth while staring blankly into the mirror, you put on your clothes, and you start that commute we just talked about.
The teleportation commute.
Exactly. You walk the exact same unchanging route to the office or drive that exact same stretch of highway. You pass dozens of trees, you pass hundreds of people, you pass coffee shops and billboards. But if someone asked you what you saw,
Would have no idea.
you'd be completely unable to recall a single detail. It really is like waking up from a trance.
So I have to ask, is there something fundamentally wrong with our memories when this happens? Or is our conscious soul just entirely absent from our bodies during these moments?
Well, what's fascinating here is the underlying neurology behind what the sources call mindless living.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with your memory, and no, your soul hasn't left your body. Your brain is actually just doing exactly what it evolved to do over millions of years. It's trying to save energy.
Save energy just by forgetting the commute.
Yeah, because the human brain is an absolute energy hog. It only makes up about 2% of our body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of our daily energy.
20%, that's massive.
Right. So from an evolutionary standpoint, the brain has to be incredibly efficient to conserve glucose for actual survival threats, like, running from a predator. To do that, a part of the brain called the basal ganglia takes our habitual repetitive behaviors and turns them into automatic neurological scripts. It's a process called chunking.
Chunking, like chunking. So it's literally writing a script, almost like lines written for an actor in a movie or code written for a computer program.
It's exactly like computer code. Once a script is written, like the sequence of actions in your morning routine or the turns on your daily commute, your brain basically presses play on that script, and then the conscious part of your brain powers down into standby mode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it stops processing new visual or sensory information because it assumes it already knows exactly what's going to happen. It's actually a brilliant survival mechanism.
But I'm guessing there's a downside.
A huge one. And this is the real so what of our sources today. This energy-saving mechanism wasn't designed for the modern world. When this automatic mode starts taking over not just our commutes, but our happiness, our social interactions, and our big life choices,
We're in trouble.
we stop living. We are merely surviving.
We're just existing as passengers in our own bodies. We're letting these ancient scripts run the show.
Well, let's pause here and look at some of the key English vocabulary our sources highlight to describe this exact state. You used the word autopilot earlier, which is just such a perfect term for this.
It really is. In English, autopilot obviously comes from aviation, airplanes.
Right. When an airplane reaches a certain cruising altitude, the pilot turns on the automatic system to fly the plane without manual control. So when we apply this to human psychology, living on autopilot means you are physically functioning, you are moving through the world, but you aren't actively making decisions. The background systems are flying the plane.
The background systems, yeah. I also noticed the sources heavily use the word mindless. Now, for our listeners, if you are mindful, your mind is full of awareness, you're paying attention. But if you're mindless, you're doing things without any attention or thought.
Yeah, it's the direct opposite of being present.
Exactly. You're scrolling mindlessly. You're eating mindlessly.
And that concept leads perfectly into a very common, very useful English idiom that appears in the text: to go through the motions.
Oh, I use that one all the time.
Right. To go through the motions means to do something mechanically. That means you're performing a routine without any real enthusiasm, engagement, or emotional connection.
That's a great phrase. If we think about how to use that in daily conversation, imagine a friend asks you, "Hey, how is your new job going?" You could reply, "I don't know, I'm just going through the motions."
Yeah, perfect example.
By using that idiom, you're telling your friend that you're physically showing up, you're doing the work, but your heart completely isn't in it. You are mechanically dealing with life.
Which brings us to the psychological state that causes this: being reactive.
Reactive, right.
Sources stress this word heavily. Being reactive means you are passively responding to the outside world as it hits you. So an email comes in, you react.
A phone notification pings, you react.
Exactly. A colleague asks for an immediate favor, you react. You aren't deciding what happens next. You're just bouncing around like a silver ball in a pinball machine, reacting to whatever hits you.
And when you live like a pinball, it gives you that terrible sinking feeling that we can describe with another excellent phrase from the text: time is slipping away.
That's a powerful phrase.
It is. When we say something is slipping away, it means it's quietly, slowly disappearing, almost unnoticeably, like water running through your fingers. You look at the clock, it's suddenly 5:00 p.m., you're exhausted, and you wonder where on earth the day went. Time is slipping away.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, if our brain naturally defaults to these energy-saving scripts, and if society is constantly demanding that we react, we have to ask ourselves what the alternative actually looks like.
Right. How do we fix it?
How do we override this ancient natural system without completely exhausting our mental energy?
That really is the million-dollar question in all of these sources. If the autopilot trap is the problem, the research points to living intentionally as the solution.
Living intentionally.
Yeah, and the core difference here is moving away from that reactive state we just unpacked and stepping into what the authors call a proactive state.
Proactive. If we break that word down for a second, the prefix pro generally means before or forward. So being proactive means acting in advance to deal with an expected difficulty or situation. Psychologically, it means actively creating your experience rather than passively waiting for things to happen to you.
That makes a lot of sense.
It means making a choice because you genuinely want to, based on your own values, not simply because everyone else is doing it or, because an algorithm on your phone told you to.
Well, let's really break down the stark contrast in your daily energy between these two modes, because the scenarios detailed in our notes are almost painfully relatable.
They really are.
Let's go back to that morning routine. We know the reactive autopilot morning. You wake up, grab the phone, and immediately absorb internet anxiety. You read bad news, you look at pictures of other people's seemingly perfect lives.
And your stress levels just shoot up.
Exactly. Your body's stress hormones spike before your feet even touch the floor.
Right. But the proactive, intentional morning looks completely different, both physically and neurologically. It means deliberately leaving the phone on the nightstand. It means sitting up on the edge of the bed, feeling the cold floor against your feet, taking 3 deep breaths, and actively deciding what specific mood you want to hold today.
Wow, that's a huge shift.
You are proactively setting the direction for your own mind, rather than letting an app set it for you.
What about when dealing with other people? The sources highlight how autopilot destroys our boundaries.
Oh, definitely.
Under the autopilot mode, you get a request from a colleague or a friend. Because you're reactive, you subconsciously say yes right away. You just want to please them. Or you want to avoid an awkward silence.
We all feel it.
But later that night, you're staring at your ceiling, feeling totally exhausted and regretful because you absolutely did not have the time or the emotional bandwidth to help them.
Exactly. Contrast that with intentionality. When approached with a request, intentionality means forcing a pause, even just for 3 seconds.
Just 3 seconds.
Yeah. In that pause, you check your own internal battery. You mentally check your schedule. And only then do you make a clear choice. If you say yes, you mean it, and you're fully present for it. If you say no, you say it politely but firmly.
And my absolute favorite scenario from the sources, because, well, I'm so guilty of this, is eating.
Oh yeah, autopilot eating.
It's that mindless boredom snacking. You're sitting on the couch, staring at a television screen, and your hand is just rhythmically moving potato chips from the bag to your mouth. You chew, you swallow, but if you stop and think about it, you don't even remember tasting the salt or feeling the crunch of the last 5 chips.
Because your conscious brain was in the television show, not your mouth.
Right.
The proactive, intentional approach to eating changes the entire sensory experience. The sources use the example of making a hot cup of tea. Instead of drinking it while typing an email, you stop.
You just stop.
You feel the warmth of the ceramic mug against your palms. You watch the steam rising into the air. You take a slow sip, and you focus entirely on the liquid, noticing exactly how the flavor of the herb spreads across the back of your tongue. You are fully present in that very simple, very human action.
So what does this all mean practically? I have to push back here a little bit on behalf of our listeners.
Sure, go ahead.
Doesn't analyzing every single snack you eat, counting every single breath you take, and internally debating every single favor someone asks of you sound incredibly tiring? I mean, if we already established that the brain naturally wants to save energy, aren't we just burning ourselves out by trying to be on and aware all the time? Do you really have to be conscious of absolutely everything?
That is a highly valid concern, and honestly, it's a very common misconception.
Okay, phew.
The sources are careful to clarify that intentionality is not about overthinking. It's not about hyper-analyzing every microscopic detail of your daily life until you're paralyzed.
Right, that would be exhausting.
It's simply about ensuring your larger actions align with what you actually want. Let's look at the math of our mental energy. Think about the massive amount of energy you waste feeling regretful, stressed, and resentful because you said yes on autopilot to a month-long project you hated.
Oh, that's a lot of energy.
Or think about the emotional energy completely drained by scrolling through negative, terrifying news stories for an hour in bed. Living intentionally actually saves you from the profound exhaustion of regret later. You spend a tiny, tiny bit of conscious energy up front to make a good choice, which ultimately protects your massive reserves of energy for the rest of the day.
Ah, I see. So it's an upfront investment, not a constant drain.
Exactly.
Well, let's look at the English vocabulary the sources use for this specific shift, the language of the proactive mind. The key word is, of course, intentionality.
Intentionality.
It comes from the root word intent or intention, which just means a purpose or a plan. Doing something with intentionality means doing it on purpose, not by accident.
We also have conscious. To be conscious means to be fully awake, aware, and deliberately observing your surroundings and your own thoughts. As we noted earlier, it's the direct, defining opposite of mindless.
And finally, clarity. Clarity is the noun form of the word clear. It means everything is easy to see, easy to understand, like looking through a perfectly clean window. There's no mental fog or confusion. When you live intentionally, you gain clarity about what actually matters to you.
And the sources suggest some great phrases for adopting this mindset. First, make a conscious choice.
Make a conscious choice.
This phrase is everywhere in the literature. It's a reminder that you are wide awake when you decide what to do next. You aren't sleepwalking.
And the second phrase I really love is align with your values. To align means to put things in a perfectly straight line, to make them match up. So if one of your core life values is physical health, going for a 20-minute walk naturally aligns with your values.
Right.
Eating an entire bag of chips on the couch on autopilot does not align. You want your physical actions and your internal values to be traveling in the exact same direction.
But here's the catch. Understanding the psychological theory of proactive versus reactive is wonderful, but theory alone does not change deeply ingrained neural pathways.
Exactly. It sounds amazing on paper, but let's be real, when I'm exhausted after a long day of work and my phone is glowing right there on the coffee table, it is incredibly hard to stop myself.
It really is.
How do we actually hit the brakes when we are right in the middle of a mindless spiral? I mean, if the brain has already pressed play on the script, how do we stop the car once it's already rolling down the hill?
This is where the sources move from theory to application. They provide a highly practical, step-by-step framework for this exact moment of weakness.
Okay.
They call it the mindful pause. It is a 3-step behavioral process designed specifically to interrupt the basal ganglia, break the brain's automatic neural loop, and force your consciousness back into the present moment.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I love practical, actionable steps. Let's have you break down this framework. What is the very first thing we need to do when we feel that automatic urge?
Step 1 is simply the 3-second pause.
Just 3 seconds.
That's it. The goal here isn't to solve your life problems. The goal is just to stop the physical impulse.
Yeah.
When you feel that familiar automatic urge, the itch to grab your phone, the urge to blurt out yes to a favor, the urge to open the refrigerator when you know you aren't actually hungry, you simply freeze your body.
Freeze your body.
And you mentally count backwards. 3, 2, 1. You are literally hitting the pause button on your own physical movement.
That makes sense. You're creating a roadblock for the script.
And
once we've paused for those 3 seconds, what's step 2?
Step 2 happens inside that tiny 3-second window. You check in with yourself.
Check in with yourself.
Yeah. That pause creates a crucial gap between the stimulus like the glowing phone and your habitual response of picking it up. In that gap, you turn the spotlight of your attention entirely inward. And you ask yourself a very simple, very powerful question. What do I need right now?
What do I need right now? That's a crucial distinction. It's not asking what do I want, but what do I need?
Precisely. You have to shine a light on the real underlying emotion driving the automatic behavior. Ask yourself, am I actually craving the information on this social media app, or is my brain just feeling understimulated and bored?
Oh, that's a big difference.
Or am I actually hungry for food, or am I just feeling lonely or stressed about work tomorrow?
Which brings us perfectly to the final step of the framework, step 3. Make one micro-choice. I want to highlight the word micro-choice here.
Micro-choice.
A micro-choice is a very small, highly manageable decision. The sources emphasize that you don't have to overhaul your entire personality or change your entire life in this single moment. You just have to make one tiny choice that aligns with your newly discovered need.
Exactly. Let's trace it through. You feel the urge to scroll. You
Yeah.
count down. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
You ask, what do I actually need? You realize, I don't care about social media right now. I'm just stressed and my eyes are physically tired from staring at screens all day. So your micro choice is simple. Instead of opening the app, you actively choose to stand up. You walk over to your living room window, you open the curtains, you look out at the actual night sky, and you just take one deep breath of fresh air.
It's brilliant because it's so small, but it completely derails the autopilot script.
It totally does.
This raises an important question, which is really the central theme of all our source material today. Who is really driving your life? Are your ancient neurological scripts driving, or are you driving? To help solidify this identity shift, our sources introduce the concept of daily declarations.
Daily declarations.
These are spoken English phrases that act as mental breaks, gently reminding you to take conscious control.
And before we practice those, let's look at the final set of empowering English vocabulary they use. The major metaphor here is the steering wheel. We aren't talking about driving a physical car here. Taking or reclaiming the steering wheel is a powerful English metaphor for demanding control over your life's overall direction.
We also talked about a micro choice, where micro simply means very small. And finally, the word reclaim.
Reclaim, yeah.
The prefix re means back or again, and claim means to demand something that belongs to you. So to reclaim means to purposefully take back something that was lost or stolen. In this context, you are reclaiming your attention.
You are demanding your life back. Let's share these powerful life declarations from the text. These are fantastic, perfectly structured sentences for English learners to repeat out loud, maybe to yourself in the mirror when you're getting ready in the morning.
Yeah.
Here is the first one. I am the driver of my life, not the passenger.
Let's say that again. I'm the driver of my life, not the passenger. That is such a strong statement. It represents a profound shift in how you view your own identity. You are officially deciding not to just sit quietly in the backseat and watch the scenery of your life go by.
The next declaration from the sources is very simple and direct. It acts almost as a command to your own brain. Pause, breathe, and choose.
Pause, breathe, and choose.
It is the entire three-step mindful pause framework distilled beautifully into 4 powerful words.
And finally, the authors offer a really beautiful healing affirmation to help you set the tone for your day. Listen to the structure of this. Today, I choose my focus. I am reclaiming the steering wheel of my life.
Today, I choose my focus. I am reclaiming the steering wheel of my life.
That really does feel empowering to say out loud. So let's quickly recap the psychological journey we've been on today. We started by recognizing the reality of the autopilot trap, understanding that our brains naturally push us into a mindless state where we're just going through the motions, simply because our biology wants to save mental energy.
From there, we explored the critical shift toward proactive intentionality. We debunked the myth that living intentionally means being exhausted by constant obsessive analysis.
It's not about overthinking.
Exactly. Instead, it actually saves our energy. By making conscious micro-choices that align with our core values up front, we prevent the massive emotional drain of regret and burnout later.
And finally, we learned the practical tool to interrupt those scripts. The 3-second mindful pause. Stopping the physical impulse, checking in to uncover what we actually need, and making just one tiny micro-choice to change our trajectory. I want to remind you, as you're listening to this, that this process isn't about achieving perfection.
Oh, absolutely not.
You are definitely going to fall back into autopilot. Tomorrow morning, you might grab your phone without thinking. We all do it.
It is entirely human. It's how our brains are built.
Yes, it is. The goal is simply to catch yourself going through the motions, gently recognize it without judging yourself, and take the wheel back, one micro-choice at a time. And frankly, I want to praise you right now.
Yep.
By choosing to listen to this deep dive, by taking the deliberate time out of your busy day to intentionally learn new concepts and practice your English, you are already living these principles. You made a highly conscious choice to improve yourself today.
You're definitely already in the driver's seat. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final, slightly different thought to ponder as you go about your day. We spent a lot of time today discussing how our brains write these autopilot scripts to save energy.
Yeah.
But think about the world we live in. We are surrounded by incredibly sophisticated technology, social media algorithms, and marketing campaigns that are explicitly designed by engineers to exploit those exact same scripts.
Oh, wow. That's true.
They want you on autopilot because a mindless consumer is a profitable consumer. So the question is, if you aren't intentionally writing the scripts for your own life, whose code are you actually running?
Wow. Are you writing your own script, or is an algorithm writing it for you? That is a fascinating question to leave on. The next time you find yourself driving down the highway or walking your usual commute, see if you can proactively notice 5 completely new things. Keep your hands on the wheel, but make sure your conscious mind is right there in the car with you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.